Shalom, y'all. Welcome back to our scripture study with a Jewish lens, a messianic twist, whatever you would like to say. This is our fourth installment on the life of Gideon. I'm Beth Shulam, and thanks for coming back. Today, we are going to continue our journey with Gideon. And if you've been following along, we've already seen God call Gideon, give him signs, and then he's reduced his army down to 300 men. So now we're going to see the victory God brings about through the faith of Gideon and these 300 men. God uses some unexpected methods to bring about his purpose. In the last segment, we saw that God told Gideon to lead his 300 men into battle against a massive Midianite army. Now we're going to pick up right where we left off. With only 300 men, Gideon is facing a challenge of trusting God's plan. So God is about to show these people that it's not about them. It's about him, his power, but their faith. So let's read, starting at Judges chapter 7. We're going to start at verse 16, and we're going to go through 22. And we're going to see how God brings about a miraculous victory, truly. Verse 16. It's 15. When Gideon heard the dream told and interpreted, he bowed low. So there was a dream up in the previous section. Returning to the camp of Israel, he shouted, "Come on! The Lord has delivered the Midianite camp into your hands." He divided the 300 men into 3 columns and equipped every man with a ram's horn and an empty jar with a torch in each jar. "Watch me," he said, "and do the same. When I get to the outpost of the camp, do exactly as I do. When I and all those with me blow our horns, you too, all around the camp, will blow your horns and shout, 'For the Lord and for Gideon.'" So Gideon and his 100 men with him arrived at the outpost of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, just after the sentries were posted. They sounded the horns and smashed the jars that they had with them. And the 3 columns blew their horns and broke their jars. Holding the torches in their left hands and the horns for blowing in their right hands, they shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." They remained standing where they were, surrounding the camp, but the entire camp ran about yelling and took to flight. For when the 300 horns were sounded, the Lord turned every man's sword against his fellow throughout the camp. And the entire host fled as far as Beth Shittah and on to Zerorah, these words, as far as the outskirts of Abel Meholah near Tabah. So, Gideon's army, 300 men, go to battle with trumpets, ram's horns, jars, and torches. No swords, no shields, no mighty military strategy, just these 3 basic things that everyone would have had. And yet God uses this unconventional method to bring about the victory against the Midianite army. The plan, again, was to surround the army. The plan was to surround the Midianite camp, blow the trumpets, break the jars, and shout out for the Lord and for Gideon. Well, why these tools? The ram's horns were going to be a symbol for victory. And the breaking of the jars was an auditory sound that caused the enemy to just become confused. It was a supernatural strategy. In this battle, the Israelites didn't even have to fight. God used their faith in His plan to do the heavy lifting. The Midianites were filled with fear and confusion and turned on each other and ran. God's victory, again, as we talked about last time, is not about the abilities and strengths of our human nature. It's about trust. We need to trust His plan and walk with obedience, even when it seems impossible. When we put our faith in God, He can do the impossible, just like He did here. Now, how often do we try to fight our battles with our own strength? We think we need all the resources again and all the right tools and all the right connections. But here's the truth. God doesn't need us to have all of that figured out. He can take our faith, no matter how small, and use it to accomplish something far beyond what we could do on our own, or even could imagine would occur, like here in this story. It wasn't the number of men, or even the type of weapons, or the strategy that Gideon used that gave the victory to Israel. It was their obedience to God's plan and their trust in His power, and also the men's trust in Gideon. God wanted all of them to know without a doubt that the victory was His, not theirs. Now think about your own life maybe. What situation have you maybe been in that you've tried to fight through your own strength, only to find that you don't have enough? Maybe God's calling you to trust Him more fully and step out in that faith and let Him fight for you. When you face challenges, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. You might think you need to have it all together again, but God can use you. God's victory doesn't depend on you. Again, it depends on your faith and obedience to what He's telling you to do. Some of you may be in some really tough situations right now, and you feel like you're just facing an impossible battle. But just like these 300 men who went into a fight, you can trust that God is with you, guiding you through your battles. When we surrender our plans, us, me, I, to God and trust Him and His strategies, even when it seems very strange, He'll fight for us. So, remember, Gideon's story wasn't about his strength or even those men, but about how God's power brought the victory. And just remember the next time you start fighting something, don't do it on your own. God will fight with you. Step out in faith and trust in Him. That's what faith is. It's trust. Some people say it's the trust of things not seen. The scripture does say that, but it's just this all-encompassing feeling that you know that God will be with you. And then just watch how he moves. So, if this encouraged you, I hope it did. These lessons about Gideon are just awesome. That's the only word I can come up with in the moment. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell. I believe there's a notification bell, I've been told, so you don't miss the next installment, where we'll talk about Gideon's leadership after the aftermath of this victory. And I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced a situation where God used your faith to bring about a victory in your life? Drop a comment below and let's share our stories. That's the way we as believers encourage each other. We witness to each other about what goes on in our lives so we can encourage one another in our walk. Thanks so much for watching this installment. And remember, God's got that victory. So shalom, y'all, and thank you so much. And I'll see you the next installment. Bye.
קומי אורי, כי בא אורך, וכבוד אדוני עלייך זרח. קומי אורי, כי בא אורך, וכבוד אדוני עלייך זרח.